Many lost cities have never been found, like Atlantis, the golden streets of El Dorado, or the mountains of Shangri-La, with some even stating that it's probable that these places never really existed in the first place. However, there have been some incredible lost cities discovered that reignite our imaginations into the unknown. These lost cities, which were once myths, have been uncovered as real places and will leave you amazed. Today, we'll be taking a look at 6 mysterious lost cities that have been discovered. Number 6. Helike. According to Greek myths, Helike was destroyed by the wrath of the god Poseidon. In 373 BC, Helike was destroyed, and for centuries it was thought to be nothing more than a parable. However, in the late 1980s, 2 archaeologists started a quest to track it down. Taking more than a decade of work, they finally found it. Over the centuries, this mythical city was buried deep underneath the earth. The 2 archaeologists soon discovered the reason for the city's disaster, and it wasn't exactly an act of Poseidon. Astonishingly, an earthquake liquefied the ground, turning the earth beneath the Greeks' feet into water as the whole city collapsed into an inland lagoon formed by this devastating tremor. Number 5. Great Zimbabwe. During the early 16th century, Portuguese explorers started reporting that they'd heard legends about a castle in Africa. In Zimbabwe, the locals told them of a stone fortress that towered over the trees known as Sambao. They stated it was so ancient even they didn't know who had built it. For centuries, Europeans thought Sambao was just a superstitious story. However, it wasn't until the 19th century that they actually found it. A massive castle with stone walls more than 36 feet tall was discovered in Zimbabwe. It is estimated the castle was built in AD 900 by an African civilization that has been lost to time. Relics were uncovered inside the fortress, which were likely gathered by trading with other countries. They also found Arab coins, Persian pottery, and even relics from the Chinese Ming dynasty. This astonishing castle is proof that a lost African civilization, forgotten to history, had trade routes that connected all the way to China. Number 4. Torona. An ancient civilization called Torona built an incredible city along the Sierra Nevada de Santo Marto mountainsides around 1,300 years ago. These ancient people were said to have lived close to the stars and was built at the top of the hills. It is theorized that these people lived there for 700 to 800 years until the Spanish conquistadors arrived. The civilization was wiped out when diseases brought by the Spaniards spread to the Torona city. This led to an entire civilization forgotten for hundreds of years. It wasn't until the 1970s when a group of bandits making their way through the jungle stumbled upon it by chance. They found an ancient overgrown city full of gold jewellery and jade figures, which they pocketed and sold on the black market. This got attention of archaeologists. Soon, the city, known only as the Lost City, was found after nearly 500 years hidden in the jungle. Number 3. Heraclea. This ancient city shows up in almost every Greek myth. It was a place where Paris of Troy and his stolen bride Helen hid from Menelaus during the Trojan War, and where Heracles took his first steps into Africa. For centuries, this city was believed to be just a myth. However, during the early 2000s, divers swimming off the coast of Egypt stumbled upon the ancient city. Finding a strange rock under the water, they brought it up and realised it was a piece of an ancient statue. They decided to dive and take another look, where they uncovered countless statues of ancient Egyptian gods still intact, jewels, and even the drowned ruins of an ancient Egyptian temple. Signs were discovered warning them in hieroglyphics of Egyptian tax laws. It is believed around 2,200 years ago, Heraclea was likely hit by an earthquake or a tsunami, and it drowned. Number 2. Leptis Magna. This lost Roman city was once known as a major trading hub for the empire, until it was buried in a sandstorm. Called Leptis Magna, it was a place where the Roman Emperor Septimus Severus was born. Severus turned it into a gigantic city and one of the most important parts of his empire. However, when Rome started to fall, Leptis Magna fell with it. The city was eventually pillaged by raiders, destroyed by Arab invaders, left in ruins and completely forgotten until it was buried under the sandstorm. The city was buried under sand dunes for a staggering 1,200 years before it was uncovered by archaeologists. Because the city was buried under the sand, it was preserved in almost perfect condition. Unlike many unearthed cities, they were able to walk through a whole ancient Roman city like nothing had changed. Leptis Magna still had an amphitheatre, baths, a basilica and a circus which looked almost exactly how they would have looked when the city was in its prime. It's like stepping into a time machine. Number 1. Sigiriya. King Kassapa built his palace atop a boulder that was 650 feet tall in the 5th century AD, located in Sri Lanka. Legends tell it was the most incredible castle in the world. In order to get in, one had to walk up a large staircase that went through the mouth of a massive brick and plaster lion. However, King Kassapa didn't live in the castle for long, as his brother Moggallana attacked, resulting in the king's army deserting him while his wives leapt off the side of the boulder to their deaths. The city, Sigiriya, was eventually conquered and left behind as a monument to the king's success. Over time, the city was abandoned and eventually forgotten. Centuries later, European archaeologists started investigating the story, found that the castle did actually exist. They were surprised to see the lion guarding the staircase did actually exist, stating it was even more incredible than the legends said. UNESCO declares Sigiriya the 8th wonder of the world, and today it's a popular tourist destination.